Real time. Today I wanted to post a little video because it feels like it's been a tender moment since I've been on here to share how humans, as us being meaning making beings, create stories to fill in the gaps for the state that we're in, our nervous system state. So, part of healing, dealing is feeling is recognizing where our nervous system is at. And so our nervous system responds unconsciously. So when we get into fight or flight, triggered, or in fawn, feign, freeze, unconsciously, our nervous system is trying to protect us and keep us safe. And nervous system responses and triggers happen outside our conscious awareness through our neuroception, like the experience of the environment, and we're picking up cues all the time from the environment and other people as to, is this safe or not, right? We're hardwired for safety. Our nervous system is actually hardwired to heal, but we really have to sometimes be guided through working with someone who is regulated and has some experience into the inner workings of our body to be guided back into safety, and or I call this place home. And so the nervous system does what it does to try to keep us safe, and it always has, and it always will, and it wants to go home, and wants to go to safety. And sometimes we just need a map to go back, which is exactly what I do in my practices. I help clients map their way back, and through safety, provide the tools and the education and the co-regulation in order to move back into safety, and knowing we need to know on the map where we're at to even know where we're going. So I'm just going to do a little practice here to show you our different parts of our autonomic nervous system. So our autonomic nervous system is made up of our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, which includes a state of regulation. So regulation is when we feel okay, when we feel safe. This is called our ventral vagal complex. And so this is when life is okay and we're regulated. This is where we can learn. This is where we can strategically plan. This is where, through a blended state, either we're playful or we can become still. This is where transcendental experiences and just the experience of like, yeah, okay, life's okay. I could do this thing. So that's the newest part of our autonomic nervous system. And then there's always running in the background our sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight. And so fight or flight's always running in the background in order to scan the environment to keep us safe. And that's okay for that aspect to be always kind of running in the background because we're always scanning for safety. And then there's the oldest part of the autonomic nervous system, which is the dorsal vagal complex, which is um, the experience of immobilization, freeze, that after fawning happens, after fainting happens. This is where depression happens. This is where dissociation happens. Dissociation could also happen in the other, in the sympathetic as well. This is where, from a primal standpoint, this is where, as mammals, we play dead in order to conserve energy. And it's not only just emotional, our body is bidirectional through this process, these processes, and there are physical symptoms and conditions that are related. So if we're stuck in fight or flight all the time, our heart's going to be palpitating, and we're going to have what's called high blood pressure, and we're going to maybe barf or have diarrhea as a primal response, and our body is not able to rest and digest. And the same is true when it happens and we're in that lower state, in that dorsal. Things slow down. We get into freeze. This causes a lot of digestion stuff. All of our health conditions can be traced back to our nervous system being dysregulated. We're in a society that is extremely dysregulated. Trauma and chronic health are the number one health crises of our time, and this is related to our nervous system. No one's really shown us how to use our nervous system, how to map it back, how to be safe, how to be secure, how to move through these things. And that's purely what I'm doing in my practice, as through all of the practices that we're doing together, so that we can kind of map it back, because no integrative medicine, functional medicine, nothing works unless your nervous system works. Healing doesn't happen unless your nervous system um, is safe, okay? And so that's really what's being missed on these root cause, through these root cause providers, is you're getting all these supplements and you're getting all of these, even sometimes medications, and you're not healing, um, because the root cause really hasn't been addressed, your nervous system. I always have this little tiny, I need to create like a fancy infographic, but I have like this little tiny chart of like our health. This is like a pillar of health. And so all of these systems have to be working. I'm going to move it up a little closer for our bodies to be working. So we need to work on stress and trauma, and our basic needs first. Otherwise, our health isn't going to fall into to place. The next thing that needs to address is our insulin and our adrenal hormones. Then there's the thyroid. Then there's the sex hormones. And there's the mood. And then epigenetics on one side, so how our genes express and can be changed through healing, are on one side, and then our lifestyles on the other. So when I'm working with integrative care teams through functional medicine, naturopathy, and the medical model, part of my role here is at the bottom doing the stress and the trauma work, and then I'm identifying other areas that are out of balance and sending to practitioners for testing, because I also address the top pyramid: your mood, your brain health, your mental health. And so it all works together. Our body is a symphony, and when one instrument is out of tune, then another one and another one becomes out of tune, and before you know it, we're sick. So I'm just going to give you a little example of what does it sound like. Like, what if your nervous system was talking, and it always is, it's always giving you clues, what would that sound like? So if I'm in a regulated state in ventral vagal, and I said to you, I'm fine, and I'm smiling, then you're hearing, like, I'm fine. And you know that I'm fine. Now, if I'm in fight or flight, my nervous system would be saying to you, I'm fine. And I'm kind of a little aggressive. And it's like, she's saying she's fine, but she's not fine. Her nervous system is saying she's not fine. And then if I'm in that dorsal, that freeze, fawn, immobilization part of my nervous system, I'd be saying, I'm fine. Our nervous system, our body is so wise and is always talking through us. And I know I just put a silly example as to how our nervous system behaves, but us human beings, we are creating through our nervous system. We're creating stories following the state of our nervous system. So if my nervous system is in fight or flight and is feeling unsafe, and then my experience of the world is unsafe. If through my nervous system is collapsed and immobilized, my experience of the world is that way as well. And so we're creating stories to fill in the gaps, and sometimes those stories just aren't true. And on top of that, our nervous systems are talking to one another. And so this is why you'll see when working with other people that are dysregulated, that you become dysregulated. And so when I'm working with families and systems, I'm working on helping individuals get more regulated and to understand the nervous system's responses that are very unconscious. We're not manifesting these things. The spiritual world has it wrong. They don't have a understanding of the nervous system, or is trauma informed. I see a lot of things about manifestation of things, and that's just simply not true. I think the saying, I think, therefore I am, is false. The truest statement would be, I have a nervous system, therefore I am. That's how we experience the world, is through our nervous system. Hopefully this has been helpful. I've got a 8-week program, The Reboot, coming up, and a free introductory session on the 29th. And you can register at the links provided.